Welcome to AS London Wellness Academy. Today's video lecture is on the tissues of the human body. Now, cells consist mainly of water and that they are living, so that means they constantly change. Now, some cells have specialised functions in the body and their structure may be modified as a result. Now, any modification of cells usually occurs when they form groups, and the forming of groups of cells is known as a tissue. These tissues carry out a particular function, and the body tissues have four main types. We have our epithelial tissue, also known as epithelium, connective tissue, muscular tissue, and nervous tissue. Now, your epithelial tissue forms the covering of the whole body, and it's the lining of various organs. The cells are cemented very closely together, and there are several different types. We have your simple epithelium. Now, this means that they only consist of one layer of cells, and your compound epithelium, which is two or more layers thick. Now, your simple epithelium consists of a single layer of flat cells. They are attached to a basement membrane. This provides a smooth lining for the heart and the blood vessels, and it's also present in the lungs. The goblet cells are often found in simple epithelium, and your goblet cells secrete mucus. We have four different types of your simple epithelium: your squamous, your cuboidal, your columnar, and your ciliated. Now, the squamous is a single layer of flat cells which form a thin layer and a lining for the heart, blood, and lymph vessels. Now, this allows diffusion to take place and also filtration. Now, your cuboidal epithelium consists of a single layer of cuboid-shaped cells. It's attached to a basement membrane, and it can be found lining some glands and also is found in the lining of the kidney. It can secrete substances and absorb them. Now, your columnar epithelium consists of a single layer of column-shaped cells which secrete mucus. Now, this tissue is found in the lining of food passages such as your stomach, your intestines, and your urethra, and your mucus acts as a lubricant, and some of the cells in this tissue actually do absorb your food substances. Now, your ciliated columnar epithelium line the respiratory tract. It has very fine like hair, which is known as your cilia, on the free surface of the cells, and these cilia sweep the mucus coating particles away from the lungs into the throat, because its main function is to remove mucus or foreign matter, so it ensures that the lining is kept clear. So let's move on then to the compound or stratified epithelium. It consists of two or more layers attached to a basement membrane. They vary in different shape. It will stand to wear and tear as the deep cells replace superficial ones because of cell division. And the best example of compound epithelium is found on the skin. So let's start off with the stratified, which is your keratinized epithelium, or dry. It consists of dry dead cells found on the surface of the skin, nails, and the hair. And keratin is a fibrous protein which creates a waterproof layer and stops the layers of the skin from drying out. You have your non-keratinized, which is wet, and it consists of a compound epithelium where the surface cells need to be wet, such as the walls of the mouth and the lining of the esophagus. Its function is to provide lubrication. We have then got your transitional epithelium. It's very similar in its structure to compound epithelium, but the surface cells are not flattened and can change shape if necessary. The deeper the cells and the more pear-shaped they are than the cuboidal surface cells. This tissue is found in organs that need to become stretched, and they will also have a waterproof lining, such as the bladder. Now, your glands are structures that consist of secreting epithelial cells. Some have ducts, which they then secrete, while others are ductless. The ductless glands put their secretions, which are hormones, straight into the bloodstream. Now, your connective tissues, the cells in the tissue line the matrix of non-living material, which they have been secreted. Unlike epithelia, connective tissue has a rich blood supply, and the cells are not closely packed. Fibres are always present in the matrix, and the nature of the matrix largely determine the properties of the various types of connective tissues, and they have a binding or supporting function. Now, we have got 8 different types of connective tissue. So let's start with your areolar tissue, which is your loose connective tissue. This tissue is widely distributed throughout the body. It's found under the skin and supports and covers the muscles, the blood vessels, and the nerves. It consists of a small matrix which is soft, and it contains a network of fibres. It is semi-permeable and can produce histamine and the anticoagulant heparin. Now your adipose tissue is also known as fatty tissue. It's similar to loose connective tissue but contains an abundance of fat cells. It's found under the skin, it surrounds the kidneys, behind the eyes and the marrow of bones. It is used for protection and to insulate, and it's also a food reserve. Now your white fibrous tissue is a rough tissue with a very little matrix and a few cells, but they have many different bundles of fibres. It forms ligaments which tie the bones together and your tendons which ties your muscles to bones. It also forms protective covering for many organs. Now your yellow elastic fibrous tissue is similar to fibrous tissue, but the fibres are more elastic and yellow in their colour. In relation to other tissue, it has very few cells. It's found in the formation of the walls of the arteries and in the lungs, and these are the organs which must be able to stretch and recoil. Your lymphoid tissue is a specialised tissue found in the lymphatic system. It's semi-solid and is made up of white fibres. Now these fibres are not made up of bundles. Its main function is to protect against disease and bacterial invasion. Now your blood is a connective tissue with a fluid matrix containing 45% cells and 55% plasma. You will go into more detail with this in your circulatory system. It transports food and oxygen to the cells of the body and removes waste products such as your carbon dioxide. Now your bone is a connective tissue of the skeleton. There are two types: compact for dense bone and strength, and cancellous for structure bearing and cellular development. The composition of bone is 25% water, 30% organic material and 45% inorganic salts. In early fetal life, the greater part of the skeleton is cartilage, but this is gradually replaced by bone until in adult life the only remaining cartilage is found in forming joints, in the chest wall and in the respiratory system and in the nose and ears. Now your cartilage has a firm elastic matrix, and there are three different types. You have your hyaline cartilage, which is a smooth matrix, is very bluish and white, and is found covering the articular surface of the joints, which are your end of the bones. It is this tissue that provides smooth movement between your bones. You have your white fibrocartilage. It's white fibres that are densely packed, and it's very tough and slightly flexible. It is used for protection against knocks and shock and can be found in between the spinal vertebra. Your yellow elastic fibrocartilage differ from hyaline in the fact that the matrix contains dense bundles of yellow elastic fibres. Now this is a flexible cartilage, and it can be found forming the ears and the walls of the respiratory passageways. Now your nervous tissue is arranged in bundles of fibres, and it's made up of nerve cells and neuralgia. These cells have long tentacle-like extensions called your dendrites, and they form axons. They're capable of sending and receiving messages to and from the brain. Now your muscular tissue has three different groups. You have your striated or voluntary muscle tissue, and it's found in muscles under conscious control. So these are muscles to move and support the skeleton. We have smooth or involuntary, which are found in muscles that function automatically without control, such as your digestive system, and cardiac muscle tissue, which is the muscles of the heart. All muscle is made up of 75% water, 20% protein, 5% mineral salts, and elements of glycogen, glucose, and fat.